Hello everybody, this is TechNolli. I hope everyone's doing well. And today I'm going to show you how to make a new OPENCORE 0.5.7 EFI folder for Coffee Lake chipsets. Now, Coffee Lake chipset is your Intel boards. A lot of you guys are using Z390s or Z370s, which are a little older. It also works on your cheaper motherboards, but as long as you're on Coffee Lake chipset, then this video is for you. It's showing you how to make a EFI partition for Coffee Lake. We show you how to do the config.plist. We go into a little detail about the Z390 motherboards and the changes. And we also show you in the BIOS all the settings we need to change, okay? So guys, let's get started on this one. Here is my vanilla installer. So I'm ready to go. Now, we need this Mount EFI folder here because we have to find the hidden EFI partition on this USB. So we'll click on this, and then right here is my install macOS Catalina. So I'm going to press number 2, put in my password, and right here now is my EFI folder. So I can close out of here. And if we look in here, there's nothing in here. So let's go over to our OPENCORE folder, and we're going to grab this EFI folder and just drag and drop it right into our EFI partition. And then we're going to need, let's double click on here, double click. We're going to also need a sample config.plist right there, sample plist. We'll put it into here and then rename it to config. Okay. Now, we can close out of here. We're done with that. We don't have anything under ACPI. We have some drivers, but we only want this open runtime EFI. Everything else we're going to get rid of, okay? Move to the trash, and let's grab those into the trash. All right, while I got drivers open, you're also going to have this drivers folder that you downloaded on my website. So right here, we can just grab these other two files, APFS driver loader and bbox HFS. Okay, so we've got that part done. Drivers are installed. Now let's go over to KEX. Now for this particular motherboard, and for most motherboards, you're going to need Apple ALC, Lilu, Virtual SMC, and whatever green. Okay? Those you're pretty much going to need for any newer motherboard. So I'm going to copy those and put them over here. And I'm going to copy the Apple ALC, which is audio, for audio driver, like an audio driver. And then my particular motherboard has an Intel i219 chipset for the Ethernet. And Intel Mousy Ethernet KEX is what I need for that. Now you may have a Realtek Ethernet LAN, or you may have a Intel i211, and where you can get your KEX, if yours is different than mine, is over on the OPENCORE website. And I'll show you, this is real easy. So you just go here where it says gathering files, and go down here until you find KEX right here. So we already have our virtual SMC, we have Lilu, we've got whatever green, we've got Apple ALC. Here's your different Ethernet drivers, or KEX. So here's your Realtek, your Small Tree, your Intel, and it pretty much tells you what's for what. This one, Aethorus, I think it's called, doesn't get used much in newer systems. So mine has the Intel, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab it, copy it and paste it into my text folder. Okay, so now the fun begins. Let's close out of here. And we've got this Mac IASL folder, and it has a little program in it that we're going to need. Okay, so let's go back over to the OPENCORE website, because we need to finish up our config.plist, and we need a few SSDTs for this motherboard. So let's click on Coffee Lake, because that's what we're on. And we're going to go here to ACPI. And you're going to see right here, we need these 4 SSDTs. Especially this one for 300 series motherboards, and that includes your B360, all of these motherboards, the 370 and the 390. And this one also is specific to 300 series boards. So we pretty much all of the time that I've done a Coffee Lake motherboard, I have used all 4 of these SSDTs, and they work great. So let's get started. Let's go up over here to get our little Mac program, double click on it, and as you can see, we need to right click and open, and then open. Okay, then go File, New, and we can close this one out. All right, so let's click on this first one, because we just have to compile these. Okay, so just grab it, everything that you see in here all the way to the top, right there, and just copy, and we're going to paste it right into there. Okay, now I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it to the desktop, and I'm going to call it what they call it right there, so I don't get confused. SSDT-plug. Make sure you do this, guys. Make sure you change this file format to ACPI machine language. If you don't, none of this is going to work. And then click Save. And right there is my first compiled AML file, and that's SSDT plug. All right. So let's go ahead and grab a new one. A blank slate again, and let's go back and let's build this one. Go down here and select everything, copy, paste, and then we'll do File, Save As, same thing, desktop, and we're going to call it SSDT-EC-USB-X. And we're going to make sure we change the file format. All right, perfect. Okay, let's go to New, and let's get the next one. This one always causes errors if you don't have this one when you're first booting up. It'll get locked up on a black screen. So we'll copy, we'll paste it, we'll File, Save As, SSDT-AWAC, and desktop, and we're saving it as an AML. Okay, and let's see, I think the last one might already be built for us. Yeah, you can just download the last one. Okay, so I can just go over here and grab it, put it on my desktop with the rest of them. So we have 4 in total. And once we get this done, we're ready to put them into our ACPI folder. So we just grab all 4 of these and just dump them into here. Pretty simple. Okay, we're done with this. All right, now let's go back over here. So we have our ACPI, we have our drivers, we have our text, and under tools, we just want to get rid of all of this. We don't need it for right now. All right, and we've got our config.plist. Now we got to get started. We got to build the config.plist. So double click on proper tree command. Again, when you first open it, you got to right click and open, and then open. Okay, then simply go up to File, Open, and we're looking for our EFI folder, which is here, OPENCORE OC, and then config.plist, and click Open. All right. Now, let's go ahead and get rid of these little warnings right here. Don't need them now. And the first thing I want to do is go back up to File, OC Snapshot, and then it's going to default to EFI, OC, and click on Choose. Now it just injected all of our text, all of our drivers, and all of our SSDTs. But on the SSDTs, if you'll notice under ACPI, right here is the plug, the USBX, they all say false. We need to change this to true, which turns them on, okay? And there's number 4 right there. All right, so we are ready to start making our changes to the config.plist that we need to boot our Coffee Lake. So we're done with this section. So what I like to do is move this over here and then move this over here so I can see both of them. All right, so we're done with ACPI. So let's scroll on down, and right here you have block, right here, block. And then you've got patch right there. And then here's quirks. Quirk. All right. So no equals false. Yes equals true. So right here on all of these, everything is by default. It tells you right here, leave everything here as default. So here's booter. Right here's booter. And we have some more quirks. Now we'll go down here, and we're going to notice a couple of things in here. And this is very important. Avoid runtime defrag. We need to set to yes, and it is set to yes. Now this quirk right here, if we have a Z390, which I do have a Z390 right here, we want to turn this to yes. If you don't have a Z390, you can leave this to no or false. But I do, so I'm going to turn it on to true. And then it tells you you need to also have protect UEFI services set to true, okay, which is right here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and set it, but I'm going to show it to you in a second. So we go on down here, no, all of these are fine. Enable safe mode slide is true, and this one's true by default. And then we come down here to protect UEI services, and here again it talks about if you're on a Z390, enable this quirk, and we did right there. So that's a good thing. Then provide custom slide right there is true. And everything else is fine except for this last one, which is new to the sync runtime permissions. That's new to version 0.5.7. So set that to true. Okay. So here's devices, device properties. So we're going to go on down here. Everything here is fine by default. Now right in here, guys, if you were going to use the onboard Intel graphics, then you would set up this area right here to use it. Most of you guys with a high-end motherboard like this and a high-end CPU are going to be using an external graphics card, a Radeon. So I'm not going to mess with this right now. I have another video that I showed you how to fix your onboard. So let's go on down here past this, and we're going to go to kernel, which is right here. All of this was already done for us when we did the OC snapshot until we get down to quirks again right here. So let's go down till we get to quirks. There's patch, there's quirks. All right. This is really important, and you need to go into your BIOS on your motherboard and check and see if you have CFG lock, if you have a setting for that. Because if you don't, then that's going to change our settings right here. On this Asus Z390 board, I was able to disable CFG lock. So I was able to leave these as false. If you can't find CFG, then you want to say true to both of those. Okay? So whether it's a Z390 or whatever you have, if you have a different motherboard model, but as long as it's Coffee Lake, and you don't have this setting to disable CFG lock, then you want to turn these to true or yes. Okay? All right, let's move on down here. Disable low mapper. Right there, we need to have that turned on if, and here's another one. This is needed to get around VTD. In the BIOS, you should be able to turn on or disable, enable or disable VTD. So with this motherboard, I'm able to enable it and disable it. I leave this to yes, and I don't have any issues with that. Okay? So let's go on down here. All of this is fine for Coffee Lake. It's not related to our Z390 boards. This is okay. Okay, no, or panic right there. No text dump. We need to turn that to true. Power timeout needs to be true. And right here, the XHCI port limit, we're going to go ahead and turn that to yes or true. Okay, miscellaneous. Everything here, leaving everything as default. So we can go on down until we get to debug. Right here, debug. All right, so this is a new one for 5.7. This needs to be true. And this disable watchdog needs to be true. And then our target needs to be 67. Every time I do this, I have to change it to 67. I don't know why they don't leave that by default. And also this right here, display level. We always have to change that. Must be a reason. These guys are brilliant. So we just copied and paste display level into there. All right. So right here, allow NVRAM reset. So this is under security right here. So we have to turn that to true and allow set default to true. Everything else is fine until we get to vault and scan policy. Every time I always have to change that to 0. We always do. And this one too. Secure needs to be optional. All right. We're almost done here, guys. So let's get down to NVRAM. And this is where we're going to put in our boot arguments. All right. Okay, so it already has these two in here, which are always here. So let's double click on it and put a space in between each argument. So we need to add this debug in there. Paste it, space, and this ALCID equals 1, and that is an audio fix. Okay. Now, if you're using a 5000 series graphics card, which I have to be honest, I have not had great success when installing the operating system. I was using this Asus Z390 with an MSI 5700 XT graphics card, and it failed to load the OS, It also failed to load the OS when I was doing Catalina 10.15.4 on a Ryzen. Now, it may be the MSI brand, but the only way I could get the 5700 to work was to come over here to Zen, because they talk about using 5000 series graphics cards. So we come down here to the boot arguments, and right here, see this AGD pmod equals Picora. So we can grab that and we can put it in here in our boot arguments and then hit enter. Now, going back to our Coffee Lake. So, about the 5700, it failed on both, but what is strange is I can finish installing the operating system with a different graphics card and then put the 5700 in and it works fine. So right now I have the Vega 56 in here, and I was able to install the operating system without any issues. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at parts to buy. I don't know about the 5700. It kind of bothers me that it fails, but it could be just the MSI brand. So not sure. I need to get a different brand. So right here, guys, we want to change our language. This NVIDIA _ driver, they took out of the config.p list, so we're okay. We want to change our language. I'm going to change mine to English right here, preferred language. Paste that in there. If you have a different language you want, you can click on this link and it'll give you the code here to put in for your language, and just hit enter. Okay, so all of this stuff right here is fine until we get to write flash. Right here, write flash needs to be true. Platform info. Now for my Z390, because I'm on Mojave and newer, we're going to leave it at iMac 19,1, which works very well. And the next part of this config.p list is where you put in your serial numbers and all of that stuff, which I'll show you later in the video to fix your iMessage or your iServices. All right, so now we can go down here, and here's automatic. Right here is true, and all of this stuff by default is correct for us. All right, so let's get down to UEFI, and everything is fine here, but we want to go down toward the bottom of the page to where it says quirks, because we have a change to make down here. All right, so 0, no, no, yes, right here. Request boot var fallback. That needs to be true. We are done. We have built our config.p list. So we're going to go File, Save. Okay? And that's it. Now, I cannot tell you how important BIOS settings are. I mean, I'm going to tell you again. It's probably the most important part of your system failing to boot, is if you don't get the BIOS set right. It is very difficult for a lot of us to figure that out because there's so many settings on so many different boards. So I'm going to show you this one. This is on ASUS. So this ASUS is a little bit different than MSI. It's different than Gigabyte. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this one and show you the things that we have to watch out for. Okay, let's get into the BIOS. Okay guys, just like all the rest of them, we're going to hit the delete key to get into our BIOS. Okay, now when you first go into your BIOS, it may look something like this, okay? And if you look right here, it says advanced mode, and that's F7, or you can use your mouse. Now also guys, what I want you to do is go ahead and update your BIOS. It is so easy to do on an ASUS, because right here, you can go on Tool, and you can just click ASUS, easy flash, and all you have to do is have your LAN cable connected, and you'll be able to do it right there without putting it on a USB or anything. It's real simple. Okay, let's go over to advanced. This is where we always want to start. Okay, so platform miscellaneous configuration. Everything is fine right here by default. Okay, and then CPU configuration, there's nothing in here that we need to change. System agent. This is where I have the VTD, and I am able to enable it or disable it. So I'm going to leave it disabled, and then above 4G decoding is enabled for this. Memory configuration is fine, enabled. Graphics configuration, I am using a graphics card, so I want to choose PCIe, but I also have the internal GPU available if I wanted to use additional monitors through it. So let's go out of here, go down to the next one. Auto is fine for DMI. PEG port, everything auto is fine. Let's go out, go out. PCH configuration. Okay, everything here is auto, so we're good. PCH storage configuration. We definitely want our SATA controllers enabled. We definitely want AHCI. Everything here is by default. Okay? Okay, PCH FW. Discrete TPM. So that's fine. Onboard device configuration. We definitely want our audio turned on, our LAN turned on. And let's see, we'll go down here to serial port. Right there. We want that turned off. Very important. Okay. APM, just like you see it here, is fine. Sleep works on this beautifully right out of the box. So you can leave all of that disabled and turned off. PCI subsystem, everything's fine disabled. USB configuration, by default, this will be turned off. The XHCI handoff, we want it enabled. Everything else, everything is turned on. Network stack, nothing under NVMe, nothing under there. So now let's go to boot, and here is where we want to go to CSM. We definitely want it disabled, okay? Secure boot. This is really important. A lot of guys get this mixed up. You'd think to yourself, oh, you want this on other OS. But no, it works with Windows UEFI mode. What we're looking for, the key word is UEFI. And right here, secure boot, if you'll notice, right here, secure boot state is disabled. If yours is enabled, you need to go down here to key management with ASUS. If I click install default secure boot keys, watch this, and then go back up. Now secure boot state is enabled, and we definitely don't want that. So go down to key management and clear secure boot keys and say yes. That way when we go back here, it is disabled. All right. Right here you can choose your first boot option if you'd like. I'll just go ahead and choose my USB stick. And we are ready to save changes and reset. All right. Have your USB stick in there ready to go. And the boot menu option key on an ASUS is F8. So I'm tapping the F8 key, and I want to go to my SanDisk and hit enter. And then right here is where I choose to install macOS Catalina from the external USB. Now it'll go through a lot of text, and I have to say, this gets stuck on 2 lines in particular, and is stuck for quite a while. And but be patient with it. I think one of them almost probably 20 seconds to get past, but it will go past it and it will come up. All right, as soon as this comes up to formatting the disk, we'll come back. It gets stuck right here on this Ethernet kext, the Intel Mousy, and this is the one that gets stuck on the longest. But it does go past it and will come up to the next screen. Yep, that's the longest pause on any Hackintosh I've done. And I'm not sure why. Maybe one of you guys can tell me why, but it gets stuck right there, injecting that thing. Right there on the Apple logo is where the 5700 fails and gives you a big white screen with a bunch of text on it telling you that it failed. So here with my Vega 56, I'm good. Okay, let's go to Disk Utilities. Let's get this thing formatted so we can continue the installation. We definitely want to click View, Show All Devices. Okay, there is my Sambrent Media. That's my hard drive. I'm going to erase it. And I'm going to call it Asus Z390 because that's what I have. You can name it whatever you want, guys. And then make sure you change this to APFS and leave it on GUID partition map. Click Erase. Nice and quick. All right, now we're going to just install macOS. Continue. Continue. Agree and agree. There's my hard drive and click Install. And this comes down and says about 6 minutes remaining, and that's about right. It'll get down to 2 minutes and it'll reboot on its own like they all do. And we want to leave our USB stick in because we still need to boot from it. So we'll come back when this gets closer to the end. Okay, she rebooted. So we're coming back up. And we're going to choose USB installer. Okay, right there, macOS installer. Just hit enter. And of course we leave our USB stick in there because we still need to finish up. It gets stuck on that Ethernet kext again, but on the third boot, it will go past it much quicker. So this is going to come up and it's going to tell you you've got about 12 minutes remaining, and that is about correct. This line does go clear across the screen before it reboots for a second time. And at that time, we're going to leave the USB stick in because we still need to come up and finish our install. Okay, guys, says about 3 minutes remaining, and that's about right. It'll go all the way over here across, and it will reboot on its own. So we'll come back. All right, less than a minute remaining. And there it goes. Okay, so leave your USB in there. We're going to come back up and boot from the hard drive. And right there, Asus Z390. Just hit enter on that, and away it goes. Guys, if you want to get rid of all this text, when you're finished, you can go into your config.plist and remove that -v under boot args in your config. And then save it and restart, and you won't have this anymore. You'll just have the Apple logo. All right, here we go. Let's get into our OS. Go down and choose your country, wherever you are. US for me. And we'll just continue. Don't want to transfer anything. I have my Ethernet cable plugged in, so that means when you see this screen, it means that it is seeing internet, okay? But I'm not going to sign into Apple ID because I haven't changed any serial numbers. So I'm going to skip, or set up later and skip. And then agree and agree. And then I'm just going to name it and put in your password, whatever you want. All right. And I could change my little image right here. Let's see, what do we have? Oh, how about this sunflower right here? Yeah. Okay, continue. And I'm going to say to turn on location services, but turn off analytics. And we'll go here and turn on Siri, and we're just about done. I'll go ahead and choose dark mode this time. I had it on light mode. All right, let's tell it what kind of keyboard we have. Okay, there we are. So we're in. Here is all my information. This is my Radeon Vega 56. Works perfect. Okay, now we'll go over here and we check our sound, and we can see right here it's all working. There's all our outputs and our inputs, and I'm going to show the volume control up there. And like I said, sleep mode does work on this. I've tested it, and I didn't have to do anything special. You just tell it whatever you want, and it holds it. All right. And here's my internet. I'm good to go. Okay, so what do you say we change our serial number? We definitely need to do that if we want any chance of iServices to work. So I've got an external drive here that's got a bunch of my little programs on it, because we need that little program called Gen SM BIOS. Right there it is. For some reason, I had to go over here to Finder and Preferences and show hard disk, because my external hard disk is showing up as an internal. That's weird, because here's my USB stick and it's fine. All right, well, there it is. And let's see, we're going to grab Gen SM BIOS. First of all, we need to use mount EFI so we can transfer our EFI folder from our EFI partition on our USB stick to our hard drive EFI partition. So we'll double click on EFI.command, and we want to mount number 1, which is our hard disk, password. And I also want number 3, which is my USB. Okay, perfect. Now we can close out of here. And right here is my thumb drive. And right here is my hard drive EFI partition, and it's empty. So we need to copy this to here, and that way we can boot our computer without the flash drive anymore. So this was the flash drive EFI partition and the folder. We put it into the hard drive EFI partition right here. Okay? Okay, now we'll go to Gen SM BIOS, and we'll double click on Gen SM BIOS.command, and we have to right click and open. And then open. Okay? So let's go ahead, let me close this out here real quick. And press 1, hit enter. And that's installing some stuff. And now we're going to press number 2. It wants us to tell it where is our config.p list. So let's go here to computer, and I already mounted the EFI. So here's my EFI partition, here's my folder, here's OC, and here's the config.p list. So we just drag it over here. Now it knows where it is. We hit enter. Then we press number 3 to inject our serial numbers. And then right here it wants to know what Mac this is. And if you'll remember, under platform info, we called it an iMac 19,1. And hit enter. And it's done. It just injected our serial numbers. Okay? So we are done, guys. I think this is a really easy way for you guys to get going with your Coffee Lake motherboards. We have to watch out for a couple of things we have to change in the config.p list for the Z390. And we have to make sure that we're doing those BIOS settings correctly. All right, guys? All right. This was awesome. I really appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.